There's Cavani with Johnson backing away, and Suarez on the end of it. Helped on by Cavani, and there's no flag here. It's Luis Suarez, and Luis. That's it. Uruguay win in Sao Paulo.
And just like that, 48 years since England last won a World Cup, FA chairman Greg Dyke made it imperative that England revamp their whole football structure, starting off with a £230 million investment into grassroots facilities across the UK. I headed over to the racecourse to find some football fans and ask them their opinion on the situation.
They're being beat out by every other continent team.
Coaching, to be honest, mate. I think it's Roy Hodgson. Yeah, I think it's Roy Hodgson. I think they need to pick someone better suited for the job. Like,
good standard, but I don't think they play enough games together to form a good team.
After some mixed reviews from fans, I headed over to the racecourse again, but this time on a Saturday, where I met FFA Escola coach Delaney Fifield, where he gave me some insight into life as a coach at Grassroots.
Soccer school's called the Little Messies. It's for under 3 years to 8 years in the morning, and for older children in the afternoon, 9 to 12-year-olds. We've just introduced a new coaching programme. It strikes a fine balance, or a good balance, equal balance even, between education and recreation. Unless they're enjoying what they're doing, then they're not going to do it. So it's about getting the right amount of learning involved in school. They're in the classroom, they don't realise it, they don't know it. So all abilities. We have players that end up playing at academies, we have players that don't, we have players that want to be in teams, we have players here that just want to play football because they want to be better football players. Basically what happens is when they reach under 7s or under 8s, they graduate into our league teams. Our league teams play in Northampton District Youth Alliance League. We have pitches the other side of the path, all marked out for them. So they're part of FFA Escola, which is a community football club, FA Charter Standard Community Football Club. Basically, we're regarded by the FA as delivering to the highest standards. There's 200 clubs like us in the country.
However, Delaney does find difficulties, especially in the winter seasons, where pitches become waterlogged. This becomes extremely frustrating for players and coaches across the UK, where they'll do anything to stop this from happening.
Well, as you say, look at the conditions, look at the weather. This is what it's like half a year. There's only so much time we can play on the grass without ruining it, really. 4G pitches or 3G pitches are just the way forward. It means that you can play all day, every day, all year round, and it's good conditions. You're not going to mess up the grass, and it just means more players playing is going to increase participation generally. It'd be a great hub for the community. Better players, more training, improves players. You get better players. And it starts from grassroots, and it goes all the way up to the national team, and then hopefully, we'll get a team, an England team that will win the World Cup. But it starts from schemes like introducing 3 or 4G pitches.
I headed over to Goals in Mirway to find out about 3 and 4G pitches and why the attraction is so big amongst football players and coaches.
Very busy. We get about, on average, 2,000 guys and girls coming through the doors every week to play football. So that would be 200 bookings with 10 people on each pitch per week as an average. It gets busier in the winter and quieter in the summer. And the reason we get busier in the winter is because of a lack of lighting for teams to train, the normal 11-a-side teams to train. Plus the pitch quality is a lot poorer. And then the summer months, because people don't play football over the summer, just casual bookings, but we have leagues that run throughout the year, so that keeps the business going quite nicely for us. Actually moved on to 5G now, which is the latest. It's the grass length is slightly more. The way it is you've got a sand base, then you've got the actual grass astroturf, then you've got another layer of sand over the grass, and then you've got the rubber crumb on top, and that's what makes up the 5G pitch. And what they've been doing is playing with the length of the actual grass to try and give it a more feeling of playing on grass. Preference-wise, I think everyone loves playing on grass. You know, some of the pitches around Northampton are shocking, grass pitches. And probably the best pitch in Northampton is over at Silby Rangers, which is a UCL Premiership club, and not the Cobblers, which you would think is probably the best pitch in Northampton. But it's a preference. Everyone loves playing on grass, especially if the pitch is like a carpet. But the 3G or 5G now gives an option for people to play football whatever the weather, and that's the main thing that it was designed for.
With waterlogged pitches being a common problem in the winter seasons, especially in the lower leagues, I decided to speak to Northampton's under-18 coach, Craig Hinton, to find out his take on the problem.
I think facilities. I think we're probably behind other countries on facilities-wise with the 3G and the 4G pitches. I think, I know hopefully with the new TV rights come in, that'll knock a lot more money down to Grassroots where they can develop 3G, 4G, so that the players are playing on a consistent surface and playing week in, week out, rather than missing 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks over Christmas because of bad weather. And even now, we've had a bit of bad weather and pitches are waterlogged and they're not up to the standard what you want. So I think if we get those sites with the 3G, the 4Gs on there, that'll only help because they'll be constantly playing football and getting more contact time with it.
You only need to look at European football and what happens over in Europe as far as accessibility for players, young kids to be constantly training. I mean, around here you've got Cobblers, you've got lots of academies, and they come up here and they use our facilities during the week to train kids from under 8s upwards, really.
If you don't have them, then we don't get to play. If we don't play, we're not going to improve. So where's the next World Cup England winning team going to come from?
Like Cobblers level and sort of lower levels in football, standards got better. I think players are a lot more technical than they were 10, 15 years ago. I've definitely noticed that myself. But obviously there's still a massive room for improvement, especially top level English players. And probably has got to come down to facilities and coaching. I'm a big one on grassroots level. Kids play on full-size pitches, I think from the age of 11 or 12 with full-size goals. And it just doesn't seem right because they're tiny, and that puts too much emphasis on players being stronger or faster or just kicking the ball miles up the pitch and things like that. So I'd rather see smaller sided games on smaller pitches than that.
I think as do at the moment get a lot of contact time, so we're quite lucky that we have got facilities what we use in the academy. Moulton use Dustin School, use Kingsthorpe School, just for a few use goals as well, where they are getting a lot of contact time at. Academy gets 3 nights a week and a Saturday game for contact time. The development centres, the elite centres are 2 nights a week, development centres 1, and the skills centres 1 as well. And then we do a Saturday morning at goals as well. So they get a lot of contact time on the 3G. Obviously we'd like pristine grass pitches, but the facilities are up to a standard that we can get more contact time on them, rather than them coming in at the academy. When I was starting out, we'd probably do 1 night a week. Now we're getting 3 nights a week. We're getting a lot more contact time with the children, hoping that they improve.
Like Man City's training ground they built recently for millions and millions of pounds, so they can kind of look after themselves a bit really, whereas teams at Northampton's level, and even really below that, sort of, local non-league sides don't have training facilities. Kids teams will play on AstroTurf, but it's kind of like borrowed stuff here and there. Northampton's youth team, I think they train on AstroTurf at Moulton. So there's some facilities there. It's just, is there really enough?
Unfortunately, Northampton isn't a hub. There's basically a scheme that means that it's going to introduce 150 3G pitches around the country, and they're going to be part of hubs, associated to hubs. Those hubs are basically cities. Northampton's not one of those cities, unfortunately, so we're not going to be part of the scheme, which is a shame. The state of affairs at the moment is that in England, even after we have 150 new pitches, 3G Astro pitches, even after that happens, we will still have a quarter less 3G pitches than Germany, Holland and Italy. And then you look at how well they do in the World Cup compared to how we do, and then you wonder why.
Improved facilities like this have given the option for a lot of kids to play a lot of football and be coached at a young age. We have a lot of different soccer schools come up here during the week. So there is a lot more of that now over the last 10 years or so. And we won't see any of that coming through for about another 10 years before we actually see if these kids are coming up through the ranks.